Oh, good morning, my little seedlings. Chris here, the country cottage gardener. Welcome you back to another video. Can you hear that? Beautiful sound of early autumn. Anyway, I thought I'd bring you a 1 year on review. The SG71 Stihl backpack sprayer. Now, although I'm a professional gardener, meaning I get paid to do tasks, I don't do massive amounts of weed spraying. I do enough to get by. I do enough to warrant having a good machine, a good unit to actually do the task. For years I bought cheaper models from hardware stores, and the seals would go, they would fracture, they would leak, and so on and so forth. So one day I just went, okay, I'm going to buy a product which I thought was going to be good, and still being a good brand, I thought it's a good way to go. My local dealer had them. I think I paid about £80 for it, and I thought I'd just do a little review on it now, 1 year on. I'll be honest, it hasn't been without its faults, but those faults have been rectified through me maintaining the unit in the way it should be. Let's put it that way, the way it should be. Everyone should be we oil our chippers, we sharpen our hedge cutters, we grease our bearings on our trimmers or whatever. So it shouldn't be the same, it shouldn't be any different with something like this. Just because it hasn't got a mechanical working engine, it doesn't mean that you don't maintain them, and that's where I went wrong. So anyway, let's start with some really good points first off with this. I was super impressed with how well balanced it was and how comfortable it was. Like 2 weeks ago, I was at this property and I was spot spraying thistles and docks out in this field where we're going to be having some horses out there and some what do you call them, teepee tent things next year. So we wanted to get on top of the thistles. Anyway, I was spraying for 2 hours and this thing was filled right up. Somebody's going to start a grinder now. This thing was filled right up, and when I say filled right up, 18 litres this will take, 18 litres of fluid. So that is 5 gallons USA. Yeah, 5 gallons for you guys. So ergonomic, really comfortable. You've got that strap which goes around the waist, you've got the padding which is going around the shoulders. You can easily adjust the buckles on all of those fittings. Really nice and comfortable. Now let's jump to a bad point. These markings down the side here. So you've got the litres and you've got the gallons. These needed to be in black. I'm actually going to get, it's something I've been meaning to do, but I'm actually going to get my pen, a marker, and go over these, because when you're filling it up and you've got liquids in there, it's extremely difficult to see. So that really is just a bugbear. It's a bugbear. They are sort of brailled out, so you can feel them and see them, but it's just an irritant. Move on to a good bit. With the lid, I like that we've got a nice big thread on there, and also it's connected. So you're minimising dropping it on the floor, spraying, some of the spray going onto the floor or whatever. And you've got the nice big filter in there as well. I like the grab handle on the top, makes it nice and easy to carry from job to job, save putting it over. Let's talk about the lance for a second. Okay, now I really like that you've got a trigger lock here, so you can't, when you've got it in the back of the van, if you're like me, you're putting it in, you're going from job to job, it might fall over, it might get knocked. That is really good, having that trigger on there. It's absolutely fantastic to lock it off. I've upgraded the spray nozzle to their brass one. It was a little bit expensive, I can't remember how much it was because it was over a year ago, but it was a bit expensive, but to be honest it was well worth it. That's not blocked up in the year that I've had that on there. So there's the back, that's what I was saying about, all the straps and everything. You can have a closer look at those. Quick release hoop handles on the sides as well. And then you've got the compressing handle, or whatever it's called, I'm not sure what you'd call it, but that's got a nice smooth action to it. This is nice and ergonomic. I like that you've got that little bit on the end to kind of stop your hand slipping off as such. Never had any problems with the internals. Never had any issues with it. Right, so downfalls for it. Now, I touched on briefly at the beginning about maintenance of it. When you've got this going in and out your van, or in and out your shed, your garage, your workshop, or whatever, you're putting this in and out all the time, you're working with it, there's quite a bit of strain which goes onto here. So you get quite a bit of strain on this join here, on this thread. Now it's not surprising, you're using it all the time around like that, you're putting it in and out, you might be hanging it up or whatever. This is where I got leaks from. These are plastic threads. To be honest, I would have liked to have seen some sort of metal threads in there. But carrying a pair of pliers and just nipping those up, tool maintenance, making sure everything's good and sound and tight before you're actually working, it's good practice anyway. Right, having a little look underneath this unit here, you've got this white thread as well. That one I've never had any issues with, but this one I've had to tighten up as well, and you can actually see just a few teeth gouges where I've had a pair of pliers on there and given that a tighten up. But again, you should be doing that with all your tool maintenance anyway. You should be checking that all these are tight, everything's nipped up before you're actually starting work. Right, so the SG71 Stihl backpack knapsack sprayer. Would I buy another one if it broke if it broke today? Yeah, I would. 1 year on, after using it, I would say at least every fortnight, and putting in a minimum of, I know, I'd probably put 3 to 5 litres in it at a time. Have I emptied it every time after use? Of course I have. Of course I have. But for an example, let's say if somebody happened to forget to empty anything and then went to use it a week later, one might say that you hadn't noticed any leaks in that time. I haven't had to replace any of the seals on it yet. I haven't had to replace any parts apart from, as I say, the spray nozzle, and that was down to my choice at the time of purchasing. I ordered one separately as well. I tell you what, I haven't even had to unclog it. It hasn't clogged up at all. It hasn't had any debris go in there. It's just been a very good bit of kit. Triple rinse it like you should be, according to your PA1 and PA6 obligations anyway. In the UK, that's your spraying tickets that you have. Anybody who's being paid to do any sort of weed spraying, commercially or domestically, doesn't matter if it's a product off of B&Q's B&Q's shelf, you've got to be having your spraying ticket. Anyway, that's another story for another video. Would I buy one? Again, yeah, I would. Would I recommend one? I'd recommend it if you were in the same situation as I was. You were a professional who is spraying every couple of weeks, or at least even once a week. I can't see it failing for once a week. Anyway, I'm rabbiting. I've got a bit more to be getting on with, so I'm going to put a bit more of my PPE on. And Yeah, go do some spraying. You've seen some footage already out of some of the weeds that I sprayed 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to name any products for what I weed sprayed it with because I'm not into promoting those particular ones. And I also done some, as I say, the thistles and docks and everything last week. So I used it for a good few hours last week with no issues. But I got some woodland to go spray over here. We're putting in a path of some wood chippings and such. Anyway, I'm going to get on with that and I'm going to leave Mr. Grindy to it. Thanks very much for watching and catch up with another review again soon. Get out. Do you not know who I am? Oh, I'll edit that bit out. In your own time. Finish? No. So, the Stihl SG71 knapsack backpack sprayer. If it got robbed tomorrow, if it fell over and broke it, yeah, sure, I'll buy another one. Yeah, sure, why not? Broken already. Turning out marvellous, isn't it? Mr. Grindy over there and Mr. Smashy over here.